Fire eats hundreds of acres and threatens homes in one Southwest Florida community. WIC News at 10 has team coverage.
Lindsay Littman is in Lehigh Acres with the very latest on the fight to bring that fire under control.
And Laura Kadechka brings us the fear neighbors are facing.
This is WIC News at 10. Developing news coming out of Lehigh Acres tonight.
A massive wildfire engulfs hundreds of acres, turning lives upside down. Lindsay Littman is live in Lehigh with the very latest. Lindsay.
Trey and Stacy, from the scene right here, we've just learned that the fire is 80% contained. Now, that does not mean the fire is 80% out. That just means there is a reasonable barrier around 80% of the fire, which can help stop it from spreading. Now, we're showing you right now dramatic video that was shot just hours ago. Our photographer was able to get as close as she could to the fire, and that piece of video right there shows you just how close the fire is to some of these homes. It's created a threat and a danger to the residents that live in this area.
Public safety is our biggest concern. It's not just burning vegetation, then it's threatening homes and of course the lives of people that are living in those homes. So it's very, very dangerous, and our people respond to it very quickly.
Now, once again, our latest numbers are that the fire has burned 275 acres. It is 80% contained tonight, but they are predicting that it is going to be an active fire again tomorrow because 19 to 20 mile per hour winds are expected, which will make this not an easy fire to put out. Reporting live in Lehigh Acres, Lindsay Littman, WIC News at 10.
Well, here's a look at what you should be doing if your kids are affected by the fire. Try to contact the school first.
And if your bus stop is affected, call 334. I'm sorry, apparently we don't have that number right now. And select the East Zone option. That means you'll press 1 when prompted. We will have that phone number for you in just a minute. Now, any student who is affected by the fire and cannot make it to school will get an excused absence.
Well, we want to go right over to Scott Zediker with a look at what role the weather's playing in this firefight. Scott?
Well, thanks, Stacy and Trey. We are looking at the weather actually cooperating very nicely for the firefighters. Obviously, Lehigh Acres is just to the east of downtown Fort Myers, a couple miles to the east. And right now the winds are dying down between 5 and 10 miles an hour. And thankfully, overnight, we are expecting these winds to basically stay around 5 miles an hour or so. The bad news, unfortunately, is we are not seeing any rain on the horizon. Let's go on the weather computer. I want to show you the fire danger risk. As you can see, it's very high fire danger risk in central southwest Florida, from basically Lee County into Henry and Glades County, even a lot of Charlotte County. So we are in an extreme fire danger situation, and we don't see any rain in sight as of now. When I return, we'll take a look at that 5-day forecast and see if we could get some rain here.
All right, thanks, Scott. Well, the fire sparked fear and acts of desperation from homeowners across Lehigh Acres.
Such a scary night. Laura Kadechka joined us as she talked with some of them. Laura?
Well, that's right. We're here at Highlands Road at 6. Now, you can't see it from right behind me, but there is law enforcement still staged right ahead, letting people know whether or not it's safe for them to return to their homes. If not, they are referring them to a shelter that's been set up on Leland Heights Boulevard. Now, we did speak with some people who live out here, and they say this is just reminiscent of a year ago. Now, this is some video that we took about a block from here at Highlands and 7th. Now, the flames were still burning on an empty lot not far from the home of Michelle and Robert Lynch. They called 911 as soon as they saw the flames in their backyard shooting up as far as 4 feet high. Now, they grabbed their hose immediately and started spraying down their yard and house.
And I ran out there, and as fast as I ran out there, it was already like beelining at me. So I started spraying the ground with the hose, and it just met me, like I said, at the property line with a lot of flames, It was just...
Well, now you can see a fire truck right here behind us here. It looks like some of them are actually trying to see if any additional flames have sparked up again, because the police, they do have spotlights in the area out here, and people are still walking around just trying to figure out what exactly is going on at this point. Now, a lot of the people we spoke with, they say, again, this is just like what happened last year. They remember when there was a fire in this area, how they had to help each other out. The community had to come together and really just take the hoses. They had to spray down their own houses and their own yards and help out neighbors who weren't able to do so, and they all did that again. Now, the one couple we spoke with, they say that they really credit the Lehigh Fire Department for saving their home, and of course themselves, and of course their neighbors. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much for the update, Laura.
Scary moments. Well, Well, in Polk County, a brush fire burns 1,000 acres and sends 300 to 400 buildings up in smoke. The good news, though, the fire there is 70% contained, and firefighters are not working the blaze since no other buildings are threatened at this point. Now, the Department of Forestry will now work to contain the rest of that fire.
Well, after weeks of speculation, we now know that Nicole Smith died from an accidental overdose of at least 9 prescription drugs.
The medical examiner's report showed Smith was on several antidepressants and anti-anxiety drugs. The most powerful medication was a sleep serum called chloral hydrate. She reportedly drank that right out of the bottle. The sedative is known to be fatal if combined with certain other drugs. But the long list of drugs Nicole Smith took could easily be in your own cabinet. Dustin Chase is live in Collier with more. Dustin.
Yeah, Trey, chloral hydrate and Valium combined with 7 other medication mixed to form a deadly dose that eventually killed Nicole Smith.
Fatal mix of medication lay among this group, but the lethal duo is not methadone and Valium like one might suspect. The possible deadly dose actually comes from combining anti-anxiety medication, lorazepam, and non-addictive sleep medication, chloral hydrate.
So generally you'd be on one or the other, not both.
Pharmacists say the biggest problem with chloral hydrate is that patients build up a tolerance to it, so a bigger dosage is needed to have the same results.
And it's proven safe and effective, but there are newer products in the market, so it's kind of fallen out of favor.
But in Nicole's case, a collection of 6 drowsy drugs have lowered her body's ability to handle each drug individually.
It kind of compounds that effect. You get that 1 + 1 = 4 effect.
Dr. Braun says unless you're also drinking alcohol, the combination of chloral hydrate, methadone, Valium, lorazepam, human growth hormone, and vitamin B12 will probably not be deadly unless you overdose. But if there's any question, you should always talk to your doctor.
Nicole Smith also had antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicine in her system before she died. The autopsy report says she probably did not commit suicide. Reporting from Naples, Dustin Chase, Wink News at 10 o'clock.
Leopards, tigers, and cougars. Fish and Wildlife removed dangerous animals from a Port Charlotte home. Investigators took owner Zelf Ridgway's 2 leopards and 2 cougars this afternoon. Ridgway says he only had the leopards for 2 days. He was actually going to use them as payment to a Charlotte Wildlife Sanctuary for holding his 3 Siberian tigers, which were removed from his home 2 months ago. Ridgway faces 6 charges for not having permits or the proper amount of land.
Dozens of Charlotte County subcontractors say they're going out of business because they can't get paid for their work.
What accuse you of? Huh? You ain't paying none of these people, apparently.
I don't owe them. Okay? I don't owe it.
You own the company, don't you?
I don't owe it.
Well, some tense moments there. Tonight, the new owner of Ideal Homes, Dean Rossi Sr., confronted the group of subcontractors and some homeowners there. The subs say they're owed hundreds of thousands of dollars for work done. Rossi says he just bought the company and he's a victim too. He says a lawsuit filed Friday will start the process of getting all of the money back.
Well, Trey, the first trial in the Cash Fiends double murder case is set to start tomorrow. Today, a judge said Ashley Toy's trial would go on tomorrow as scheduled. Earlier this month, the judge separated Toy's case from the 8 other defendants in the murders of Jeffrey and Alex Sosa. All 9 suspects are suspected members of the Cash Fiends gang. Toy's attorney says the suspect was abused by the alleged ringleader of that gang, Kamar Johnson, who Toy says is the father of her unborn baby.
Punta Gorda police need your help catching a criminal. Take a look at this surveillance video. Police say an 83-year-old woman was walking through a Walmart parking lot in Punta Gorda this afternoon when a man ripped her purse from her shoulder and took off. The suspect is a white male described as being in his late teens, maybe early 20s, about 5 feet 10 inches, and was wearing a white t-shirt and blue jeans at the time. Anyone with info should go ahead and call 941-639-4111.
Well, it's still a mystery how and why the remains of 8 humans ended up in a remote area of Fort Myers. Authorities are pulling out all the stops, though, to help solve this case. More than 50 people, including an anthropologist, are on hand digging the 10 acres of land where these remains were found. Since the initial discovery on Friday, only small bones have been uncovered, and investigators say they plan to be out there until Friday digging for more bones and more clues.
Sights and sounds of progress as the Ave Maria community marks the Feast of the Annunciation. A special mass was held today as workers continued building the town oratory. Now, by this time next year, the mass will be held in that new building. The university is now offering naming opportunities for people looking to leave their mark on some of the older buildings there.
There's wonderful opportunities inside the oratory, in the buildings themselves. We have a few buildings that still need names and all kinds of naming opportunities in the buildings and around campus.
The town is scheduled to open to residents this summer. Students will begin classes at the new campus this fall.
A bump in the back turns into a mid-air fight. Officials say a woman who was reading reclined her seat and then bumped the man sitting behind her. He reportedly snatched a newspaper from her hands and the two had an argument. No one was arrested, and that flight, by the way, was headed to Fort Lauderdale from New York.
Well, Stacey, it is a season to remember for the FGCU Lady Eagles. They came up one win short of the national championship.
But today, fans of the team came out to welcome them home. Sports Director Clayton Ferrero has more on that. Clayton?
Hey guys, nice new digs, huh? You loving this? Yeah, this year was just a blast for the Eagles, their students, their fans. So, they had to get together for one last party. Everyone gathered at the place where it all happened this year, Alico Arena. This was really a celebration for the seniors, girls like Alex Nelson, Kate Schrader, who are moving on, and also for the fans who fueled the Eagles all season long.
A lot of people got caught up in the excitement of this season. That's a great group of girls. Hopefully we continue to build great teams and continue to build upon the support.
And guys, I know you've been working hard all night long, but if you could stay awake, we're going to have a special tribute to the Eagles coming up tonight on Wink News at 11.
All right, thanks, Clayton. They had a lot of heart. We give it to them.
Coming up, the brush fire in Lehigh Acres continues to burn. We will have an update on the developing situation right after the break.
Plus, the secrets to keeping up the pace of an active life while living with breast cancer. That's less than 10 minutes away.
Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Scott Zediker. Coming up, we'll be talking about the lack of rain we're seeing here in Southwest Florida. Maybe some of these clouds will bring us some. I'll take a look at that 5-day forecast when I return.
That developing story, the fight to bring a brush fire under control, raging on right now.
Trey, that fire continues to burn in Lehigh Acres. More than 270 acres have charred. Lindsay Littman on the scene for us tonight. Lindsay, how do things look right now?
Trey and Stacy, things are going pretty well right now. It's 80% contained, which is very good news for the folks who live out here and for the firefighters that are working this fire. We're at the command post so we can get you the very latest information available. Behind me is the mobile unit where there is an advisory team inside there right now giving all of the orders to the firefighters who are out on the scene. Now, at last report, the fire is 80% contained. The damage report remains at 3 cars and 6 outhouse structures. That means 6 garages or storage facilities, but there are no reports of damaged homes or anyone that has been injured in this fire, which is pretty incredible when you take into account how quickly this fire spread.
We had a 15 to 20 mile an hour wind that was pushing this fire to the southwest earlier today, and it grew from a mere 5 acres, about 430, to its present size of about 250, 275 acres in a matter of about an hour and a half. So it moved very quickly with the wind pushing it.
Now, I asked Jerry Lacavera, who you just heard from, how he would describe the effort that has been conducted out here, and he said, in a word, professional. They got out here quickly, they contained most of the fire very quickly, and they hope to have it 100% contained in the next couple of hours. Reporting live in Lehigh Acres, Lindsay Littman, Wink News at 10.
Okay, I want to give you that information that we gave it to you at the top of the show. If your children are affected by this fire in the Lehigh Acres area, try to contact the school. If your bus stop is affected, this is the number to call we wanted to give you earlier. It's 334-0211, and then select the East Zone option. That means pressing 1 when you're prompted. Any student, by the way, who's affected by the fire and cannot make it to school, obviously tomorrow will get an excused absence. That number again, 334-0211. That's for bus stops that are affected by this fire.
Wink News at 10's meteorologist Scott Zediker joining us now with a look at the weather. Having covered many of these, wind is always the problem. Is that what we're facing?
We had strong winds sustained in the 20s. We had wind gusts close to 30 miles an hour out by Lehigh, and that's what they were dealing with earlier this afternoon. Now, the wind will be dying down overnight, which is the good news, and temperatures not too bad out there as well. Tomorrow we are expecting the wind to pick back up in the afternoon, but it's a normal cycle here. When the sun sets, that's when the wind starts dying down, but we are expecting that wind to be with us once again tomorrow afternoon, but probably not as strong as we felt today. Right now, you can see temperatures generally in the low 70s across the area. 71 in Lehigh Acres right now, 72 in Cape Coral, 70 in Immokalee. On the weather computer, we are dealing with some high, thin clouds, and that's really all that we're going to see for the next several days. Tomorrow, they'll be blocking out the sun from time to time, but no rain expected with these clouds. It looks like it's going to be a pretty dry forecast for the next 5 to even 7 days across southwest Florida. There's the winds now, basically to the east, from the east, I should say, at 7 miles an hour, 12 in Naples, 9 out of Southwest Florida International Airport. So the winds are starting to die down, and we expect them to stay between 5 and 10 miles an hour through the overnight period. But like I said earlier, they will be picking up tomorrow afternoon. If you're making plans tomorrow, how about 8 in the morning, 64 degrees in Fort Myers. At noon, it's going to be another warm one. 84 degrees we're expecting with some high clouds out there, and 83 by your commute home around 5 o'clock with a partly cloudy sky. High pressure and control over the Atlantic, and that's going to keep driving in those easterly breezes. Might feel a little bit of an onshore push, I guess I should say a Gulf breeze later in the afternoon at the beaches, but it still remained very warm across the area and extremely dry, so keep that in mind. About 63 degrees in Fort Myers overnight, 62 out in Lehigh Acres, 63 in Golden Gate, Marco Island at 65 degrees. Temperatures tomorrow, it will be another warm one, partly cloudy and warm, mainly high clouds for you. Temperatures will be approaching the upper 80s. And here's how we break it down for the next 5 days. Partly cloudy and warm tomorrow, starting off at 63 up to 86 degrees. 87 on Wednesday with a partly cloudy sky. And we're going to see a lot more sun, I think, by Thursday and even into Friday as temperatures stay in the upper 80s, pushing 90 degrees on Thursday, 88 degrees for a high temperature. Then starting off the weekend, beautiful weather, mostly sunny, breezy conditions, still dry though. High temperature 86 degrees. Stacy and Trey.
All right, thanks, Scott. Attorney General Alberto Gonzales now questions if he is the right man for the job.
Gonzales actually says it bothers him a great deal that both parties think he has lost credibility over the firings of 8 U.S. attorneys. The House has voted to strip the Attorney General of his power to indefinitely appoint federal prosecutors. This is a similar bill to one that passed in the Senate. President Bush stands by Gonzales, but has also said he will not veto the legislation. Meanwhile, speaking of the president, he is meeting with automakers to talk energy efficiency.
I was interested in their take on my goal of reducing gasoline consumption by 20% over the next 10 years.
The president wants to see a massive increase of flexible fuel vehicles capable of using gas and ethanol blends. Mr. Bush said he talked with industry representatives about his overall plan to save energy. The president also called on Congress to quickly approve funding to develop new sources to produce ethanol.
More cops in Chicago could face charges of beating civilians. First, check this out. Maybe you've seen this video where an allegedly off-duty, drunk Chicago officer smacks around a woman half his size. Now, this happened on Chicago's north side. Well, now, 6 officers stand accused of beating up a group of men outside of a different bar that sits just outside the business district of the city, the Loop. No word from Chicago police officials on an investigation. 2 women beaten and mugged in New York celebrate. Sounds strange? Well, it's a story of toasting 2 survivors as heroes. NYPD officials believe 101-year-old Rose Morat and 87-year-old Solange Elise were beaten by the same man in the same night. They were toasted last night as heroes by the city and their friends. Police are still looking for the man who attacked both women. A surveillance tape shows Rose Morat being robbed, beaten, and left in a pool of blood. More than 2 million American women lived with breast cancer. Last week, Elizabeth Edwards told reporters about her diagnosis.
And Edwards says she wants to stay on the campaign trail with her husband, but is such a demanding schedule even possible? Kieran Chetri has some insight.
Pink ribbon might offer a hint, but looking at Anna Ortega, you would never know she has stage 4 breast cancer.
I still remember the day that I found out it had metastasized to the bone. For me, it was 10 days after my initial diagnosis. And they're using words like stage 4 and using words like terminal.
And yet,
I don't believe I'm going to die of cancer.
Little has changed in Anna's life since she was diagnosed with the cancer 2 years ago.
You still work full-time, you do a lot of things you did before, and you have other hobbies. How do you keep up?
I listen to my body. If I need to sleep in a little bit in the morning, I do. If I need to leave early, I do.
What are you having?
And she plans for her future. vacations, a new car bought with a 5-year loan, one she fully intends to pay off. And she still wears heels, even though a fall could put her in a wheelchair.
Wearing high heels is basically who I am, and it makes me feel good about myself.
Optimism echoed by Elizabeth Edwards.
I expect to do next week all the things I did last week.
Anna says she's helped by her strong faith and her husband, Robert.
Oh, Heavenly Father, we just thank you for another day, Lord.
We've gotten closer.
Yes, amen.
We got a few.
She also puts her faith in her cancer doctor.
I have every expectation for her to do great for a long time. I expect her to be on this pill for years to come. If that fails, we have a lot more ideas.
He says women who respond well to the treatment are living 4, 5, 10 years. Anna expects to beat that.
It's not a death sentence that it used to be. We can beat this. We can live with it. And there's a difference between having had cancer, surviving cancer, and living with cancer. And that's what we're doing. We're living with it.
Kiran Chetri, CNN New York.
Well, he's already a record-setting musician.
And now the Rocket Man turned 60 with a record-setting performance, and you can see it. We'll tell you how after the break. You're watching Wake News at 10 on CW6. Stay with us.
It'll be Crocodile Rock in Madison Square Garden, a record-setting 60th time to celebrate his 60th birthday. Elton John's concert will be recorded and then broadcast April 5th. The singer recently announced he would make his catalog of more than 30 albums available for digital download. That move also coincided with his birthday, as well as the release of a new compilation album, Rocket Man.
Do YouTube? Well, maybe you won an award. YouTube named its winners today in their very first award contest. And some of the winners, now get these, they include the OK Goes. If you've ever seen this, it's hilarious. It's a treadmill music video. It also included a free hugs campaign. And in an upset, I guess if there is such a thing with YouTube, Ask a Ninja beat out one of YouTube's biggest celebrities. That's Lonely Girl 15. The winners were based on online votes. Have you seen that?
Yeah, that provides hours of laughs.
Hours of entertainment right there.
Well, when we come back, though, we're going to wrap up our big story of the ongoing brush fire in Lehigh. Stay with us.
We are live in Lehigh Acres tonight, where firefighters will remain on the scene until there is no longer a threat. It has been a team effort out here tonight. 80% of the fire is contained, meaning a reasonable barrier is in place to block the fire from spreading, and that's the goal. No injuries and no homes damaged to report tonight, but it will be a difficult day tomorrow when the wind picks up and refuels this fire. Now back to you.
Really quickly, how windy should it be tomorrow?
We'll probably see winds between 10 and 15 miles an hour tomorrow as temperatures rise up into the mid-80s.
All right, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Take care.